So candidates, ultimately, the person, the individuals who gets paid. So whether you're again in search, whether you're in recruitment, whether you're in staffing, the candidate is an individual. We should never forget that. So when we talk about, I mentioned the chat with the 500,000 database. Within that is 500,000 individuals with 500,000 hot buttons, 500,000 specific needs, 500,000 drivers, etc. Which is when we do a one-to-many strategy, which is why I mentioned you have a template, and we always start with a template. But then within that, there may be some hot buttons, drivers that need to be tweaked for each niche, and of course, so it should be. And you'll find the member, the client who gets that and spends an extra bit of time on that are those who truly scale. So let's not forget we're dealing with individuals here. Never forget that. So from a candidate side, again, there's a trifecta. So what you want and what we want are the top candidates. And again, we want them the 90% plus in the entire market. We want direct access to them, and we want to be fully automated again. So the candidate market coverage is typically about 9 times the typical recruitment or search business. So what that means is when one of our members comes to us, they go through the initial steps. They will have an ecosystem, a data set, a network that'll be 9 times. Now, in some case, it can be, a lot bigger than that, a lot bigger. But that's just giving you an average, okay? So we got 9 times to work with straight away. And then, of course, we can do some really cool stuff with it. And in terms of an internal recruitment team, often it's 20 times an internal recruitment team. So if you're dealing in the corporate space or with bigger companies, the HR director, the talent acquisition manager, that's why we need to partner with them. It's not their fault. So what we do with the HR Maximizer is, we actually say it's not your fault. So they're missing these base fundamentals. So we want direct access to the candidate, whether it be they're on their mobile, whether it be on their laptop. In some cases it's a personal contact, in others it's a business contact, but we want that direct candidate access. Next, the volume. So the volume we've been through, and again, we want that full coverage, so 90% plus. So that could be 20x what you're doing now, it could be 400x. These are numbers that mirror the client side, because the numbers typically we find for the client side, candidate side, for the normal business are around about a 9x, 9 to 10x, but sometimes it can be a lot bigger than that. Automated follow-up. Again, we automate this process. So I'm not sure how you follow up with the candidate now, but we automate this process. And as you go up the food chain, you deal with C-suite or board level, that follow-up process needs to be really eloquent. Often, one of our members, actually, to give them kudos, they took 2 of our strategies and sort of combined them. They actually get responses from CEOs saying, apologies for not coming back to you earlier. From an automated process, because they think it's done one-to-one. Of course, it's not. But very cool strategy they've combined with double R and a voicemail strategy. Running multiple candidate campaigns in sync. So again, like the client side. So if you've got 10 open roles, guess what? You can run 10 sets of candidate campaigns. And again, if you've got one commissioning recruiter, or if you've got a team right now, you can pass all those to that one person and they deal with them. Now, cost, your fee. Now, your fee. So this really hits on 2 angles. One is around your fee itself, what you actually charge an invoice. So on the first video, I referenced Laura. Laura's now the biggest, has the highest fee in her niche. She didn't when she joined us. So she's able to do that because she's got authority, but also she's now fully retained. But also because she's now got an ongoing flow of business and candidates coming in, she can turn opportunities away. But really, because we've got the process of, we've got all the candidates, and in Laura's case, we've got authority, which we're not covering on these videos. Her fee has gone through the roof, and it's gone through the roof, which is really cool. So your fee, we want to raise it, so you're paid more. And we do that by you being a trusted advisor and market authority that we've not gone through today. But I'm going to show you how we use the data set to actually imply the authority in the marketplace, okay? So raise your fees. Raise your fees and convert more. So you actually will convert more when you demonstrate to the client you have 90% of candidates in your database. So I don't know how you convert right now, but I know 1,000% you don't do what I'm about to take you through. So raise your fees, you will convert more when you do what I take you through. Once again, you set this process up. It's minimal involvement from you, your team, etc. So the costs that you might spend on a 50K a year recruiter, or the costs of your time. So, if you're doing 100K a year, your hourly rate is $50 an hour, £50 an hour. If you're doing $1 million a year, it's £500 an hour, dollars per hour. So why would you be doing things that a VA can be doing for $5 an hour, etc.? So be bringing in the volume, okay? So your costs are really hit on two sides. One is your fee, and secondly, your actual operating costs. So are they interested in the role? This needs to be filtered out before you speak to anybody. So again, as I just mentioned, your fee is $500 per hour if you're doing $1 million per year. The automated follow-up, again, removes human costs. And guess what? It removes the guesswork. So there will be, of course, one-to-one communication on the phone. But again, we want to automate as much of this as possible online. Now, speed. So we want immediate responses from candidates who are interested. So speed is the name of the game, as you know. Depending on what market you're in, if you take out probably the lower end of the market. So if we talk about maybe factory workers, and then we work all the way up to maybe everything up to outside the top sort of 5%. Speed is often the key thing. There will be roles whereby they want to wait for the fill in the blank, but speed's always key. So we want to, again, identify, qualify, and attract 90% of all the candidates in the market. We want to run multiple roles at once, so we get a quick turnaround. And again, remember, this is in tandem with your database, so it's not human. So when the role comes in, we start a campaign, bam, within minutes. And again, we monitor metrics. So you get, again, less human involvement. It means less mistakes, less fixing, allows you to focus on making the boat go faster. So what you're doing is your job becomes making sure that we've got this big leverage jump of revenue because we're filling more roles. It's not focusing on, I need to follow up with this candidate and that candidate and apologize to that candidate and give some value to that candidate because he's not a fit right now, but might be in the future. No. So we want to get candidates in terms of the quality. So we want to have 90% plus. We want to have the cost. We want your fee to go up, but also we want the human cost involved to go down. But then from a speed side of things, once we've got the components in place, I've covered on previous videos, literally day one, big numbers coming in your inbox. So from a candidate side, we've got the trifactor again, and you can see how it's coming together now as a jigsaw. So if we think about recruitment again in search, and when I came into this industry, I was surprised by how complex it's made when really all we've got is we need a role and we need a candidate. And there's a total number of clients, a total number of candidates in the market. Then we start with that. And for me, that's day one at kindergarten stuff. That's not authority. It's not anything. It's just day one. Right, what are we dealing with? So remember I said about putting your fees up. So here's an example whereby you can get 100% conversion with clients, even C-suite. That if you've got no authority and it's running completely cold, but you've done these base fundamentals I talk about, you can convert 100%. And this is proof. This has happened before. It's happening now. Okay. The thing is, when we think about our recruitment career, I'm not sure what your evolution, your history is, but really, if we break it down to components, one is we get leads in, two is we convert, whether it be clients or candidates. Then three is we deliver the candidate. That is recruitment, that is search, okay? So with the conversion piece, if we're scaling a business and you've got 7 team members, or whatever your number is, we want to have something that can become replicated, and it removes human interaction. Now, there's always going to be human interaction, of course there is, but if we can remove the human skill element as much as possible, so the big biller, this guy, this girl who's got the X factor, that's wonderful. And invariably, when you build a business, you probably know this, they go and set up a loan, and then you lose your A star, and then you hope for that A star to come along. So wouldn't it be good to have a process whereby it becomes repeatable? So in this case, let me take you through this very, very quickly. So this under the radar close process, and this is what we do right now. So on the right-hand side, what you've got is a model where I was working with one of our members, okay, on an NPC campaign. So what we've got is, to start with, a data set build. We've been through an avatar interview where we really identify what the client's needs are, what they want. Then we segment the database. Then we run a double R NPC campaign. So that's the automated campaign. And then we send across the most placeable candidate, so this ideal candidate. Then we get a response. Then we do a bespoke response mechanism whereby we reply to each message. Then we do a little LinkedIn nudge thing, pitch the candidate. So this is all, some of this may be base, some of this may not be. So we get booked in diary, but I've been through some of this process now already. So that's not what we're focusing on. What we're focusing on is actually getting 100% conversion. So I mentioned Laura. Laura's fees are now the biggest in the industry, and she's got authority. She's used one of our webinar strategies and a back-end vault strategy, which is really, really cool, which means the candidates come to her for their career rather, because they're high-end candidates, and the clients come to her because they know she's the authority, because she's one of our authority strategies. Well, a few now. In this case, I'm going to go through a process whereby you've got no authority, okay? But what you have done is gone through the fundamentals of what I've discussed so far. So map a market, build a data set, 90% plus coverage. So let's look at what goes on here. So before the call, you do due diligence. You're about to speak to the client, and you've identified all of their competitors within 2 hours, okay? So it could be all competitors within 2 hours of where the client is located. So say, for example, if you're dealing in New York, you may do due diligence and find all the competitors within New York, or you might do, if it's not based on location, their competitors might be national. It could be whatever, but you find who the main 50 competitors are, okay? And then you want to make sure you've got all those candidates in your database. Now, if you've gone through steps I've been through previously, you will have 90% plus. So on the call, we go through our open and did you read the CAS, the client attainment system? I've not gone through here, but the CAS overcomes all the objections before the call. Then we go through the setup. So what we do with the setup is we essentially see that preferred suppliers lists, internal recruitment, HR, other recruitment businesses do this. We do this. There's a massive gap. So in this case, we've referenced the average business has a really small market coverage of 12.9%. We've got 92.7%. Internal recruitment has only got, I think in this case, a few percent. And then so we set up this gap here, okay? Then we get onto the actual crusher where we actually get this 100% conversion. I'll take you through the steps here. So again, this is what I was working with one of my members. So what we say in this box down here, the crusher, do you know all of your competitors, Mr. Client, within 2 hours? Yeah, of course I do. Okay, do you know how many ideal candidates for your role are in these competitors? I've got a rough idea. Okay, we have 95% of them in our talent database. Okay, Mr. Client says. We can get a response within 4 hours from the top 5%. Mr. Client calls bullshit and says, show me. So at this point, we share our screen and demonstrate to the client that this is real. So we demonstrate we've got all these candidates from their top 2 competitors, their top 3 competitors. We scroll through it. Of course, we blur out or hide the confidential information, but we show him we've got these candidates. We show him we've got this mapping, this org chart that I've shown you previously. Now, the client also knows by implication you've got all of his staff inside your database and you've got his business mapped. So this 100% conversion is simple when we've done these base elements. And you'd be surprised how many people in recruitment don't follow steps. So if you've rushed to this video without going through the previous videos, you're one of those, unfortunately. But this conversion 100% happens all the time based on the steps you've been through so far. So your outcome, when you think and follow what a rainmaker does, we said, remember right at the beginning, what's a rainmaker and what's a grinder, is this. The first thing, you'll be able to present your clients the top 15%, maybe the top 5% of candidates in your niche. Next, increase conversion. So you're going to aid your converting process by demonstrating that you can reduce the risk of a bad hire to your client. So for them, that's an even higher risk, a risk on his business or his role. But what they can do is focus on their tasks at hand, and they can focus on retaining their people. So you can demonstrate to the client they're not going to make a bad hire, which is all they're interested in. Next, you're going to lower your own recruiting cost. You've got a system, the one set up will take potentially, if you've done the background work, minutes to segment and execute. Again, potentially, if you've done the base fundamentals. Next, you've got a sellable asset. So when you look to sell, exit your business, if you've got this data set of 90% of the candidate pool, you'll probably be one of the only in the niche, not in recruitment, in any business, to have that. Very powerful, very powerful. Next, remove the feast and famine. So when the top roles come in, you pass them to your VA, they execute immediately, and you've got this process that brings in leads repeatedly. Next, these business critical roles you've got, you can fill them quickly because you've got the candidate side there. So that means it's fewer distractions of bit of LinkedIn, bit of this, bit of that. You've got a system. So that means better productivity for you personally, but also your team. Then also, this is just an overview of 1 or 2 strategies. And I said that right at the start. And again, if you rush to this video, please go through the previous ones. But this is just one strategy I want to share with you. It's one part of what we do. So this is the double R engine. So this is the accelerate, build, scale, genius model we work to. So there's really three phases. One is you want to get your candidate flow and pipeline running in a really, really productive and speedful and profit-based manner. Secondly, we want to be able to replicate that so we can then get it working in one sub-niche, then get it across other sub-niches in your business. And thirdly, we can optimize the process and actually scale. So we accelerate, we get into a scale process, and in the middle, we've got build. Now, build is a word that recruitment people, search people don't often get. Everything's now, which I love. I'm built the same way. However, I've also failed many times. Build is key. So your role between building and scale is pivotal. Absolutely huge. Your role, you must get that you're a business owner. When you start running and you run these strategies and you get this new system, you have these systems and it's going to be your focus, and that's cool. But your role has to change as you grow. And then we need to get into a very clear position of, right, what are we actually looking to do here? We're looking to grow the business into something that can bring in predictable revenue, profit, or looking to exit. Because that will dictate how you actually set up the business. So again, do you want to share these tools and these strategies and these systems, these templates to a number of team members? You can, of course, have contracts in place. But what's your actual plan here? So with Accelerate, the first thing we want to do is get leads and clients in. We want to build authority that we've not focused on at all. We want candidates and delivery to happen very quickly. So we've covered just a little bit of these things here, but not in any real detail. In scale, we want to leverage the assets we've built previously. So we want to leverage the assets we've built previously. So this is when we get into my favorite part, when we actually scale the business. We want mass conversion. So that means right now you might be a one-man business or you might be a one-woman business. Everything's one-to-one. We want mass conversion. We want to monopolize the niche. When you do this, you convert a lot easier and you convert a lot quicker, but also it becomes a lot easier for your team. In terms of build, we want the follow-up and nurturing process to be fully automated. We want the niche domination to start to take effect, but really in terms of a build manner. And what that means is we build systems where we get these responses coming in. With scale, we monopolize because we've got the authority to monopolize. Then we've got the automation in shape. So double R engine, which I've covered some more, fits underneath here. Say just one little component. There's one component fits underneath here. But there's a model to growing your business. Now, right now, lots of businesses are launching or they're relaunching into a new niche, whereas others are looking to scale right now. They've been looking to have this opportunity is now here. But there's a system. And where you are right now will be dependent on what you've done previously. So the bigger opportunity, whether it be, again, to launch, relaunch, or scale your business, is really bringing these different strategies together. I say so far I've shown you two strategies, just two of many. Here are some others, but again, not exhaustive, just to take you through. So we've got, in Accelerator, we've got install foundations, we've got the niche domination, we've got, LinkedIn we've not even covered, we've got authority pieces, candidate pieces, content. We've got a podcast process whereby most of our members will get to number one on iTunes, and that becomes a really cool tool to get business. We've got a number of different webinar strategies and Maven webinars whereby we use celebrities in the niche. And it's not just we get a celebrity, there's actually a process behind it. We've actually got slides done for you. We've got the template done for you. So a speaker often will charge $5,000 will speak for free. And that's the actual number where we started this process about 5, 6, 7 years ago, maybe, was when it first, about 7 years ago. We had a speaker say that they want $5,000, and we went backwards and forwards until we had this template. They converted, we tweaked it over the years, but generally you can go to a Amazon bestseller, you can go to a keynote speaker, they'll speak for free. Then we've got decentralizing your role, and some of the components we covered today, but very, very lightly. Then in build, so build's a completely new model. It's a new model. So we're focusing on owning the client and candidate pools. We're focusing on nurturing, we're focusing on HR, we're focusing on the client attainment system that we've not covered, advanced conversion, hiring A players, absolutely key. So whether it be we're building a lean team, whether it be a remote team, whether it be we're building a team where we're going to replace you with an operations manager, there's a process here. And in scale, so now we're looking at the business that wants to dominate. So give an example, we combined a webinar strategy with a referral strategy, brought in $1 million in the first year. That business owner had previously been stuck at a couple of 100,000. So there are different strategies you can bring together. But I just wanted to just share with you that what I've given you an insight to isn't everything. But I just wanted to give you something that you can see and get your neural pathways to function in a different way. My mission, first of all, was to change the industry. Then I found how bloody minded the industry is. So now it's a case of, I'm not there to persuade. I'm there just to open eyes. And if it's a fit, it's a fit. In terms of niche, we're different because you're not. I've referenced just a few niches here, but everything from fashion through to finance, C-suite, fill in the blank. So whether you're perm, temp, contract, interim, staff and agency, contingent, retain, exclusive, wherever you are in the world, unfortunately, you're not different. And if we ever speak, you will still tell me you're different because it's your baby. When you grow a business, it's, we create the same drug in our body as a woman does when they give birth to their baby. We actually have that in our body when we create our business, and that's how we treat it. So you won't listen to me when I say you're not different, but you're not different. Okay, so as long as you get niche, it will work. So be really interested. What's registered with you? What's registered with you? If you're a recruitment search business owner, what we've covered so far, I'm not sure what might resonate. It might be why right now is the perfect time to move to a model which gives you economies of scale and removes the need for multiple humans. Could be misconceptions about how a recruitment search business can scale. I've mentioned the limiting views of most people in recruitment, in the same way limiting views in any industry when we've been doing the same thing, the same way, surrounded by the same people, doing the same thing, the same way. But maybe that breakthrough has happened, seeing what's possible, with facts and numbers. Maybe it's a breakdown of seeing your business as inputs, process, outputs. For me, this is the holy grail of less stress, less overwhelm, and more control. And in terms of our output, more roles, more field roles, retain business, higher fees. It's breaking it down to simple steps: inputs, process, outputs, leads, conversion, delivery. So it might be why just building a team is not the way to grow. I've demonstrated the communication model and the relationship model. That's not the way. Whether it be 360 recruitment. I'm very stern with this, and it's, again, not saying my view is correct, but just building a team blindly is not the way to grow your revenue figure. Why being able to present to your clients, top 50% of the premium candidates in your niche does lead to higher fees. Just showing you with the conversion model, how to increase conversion to 100%. Maybe the ability to share that with a client and the ability to reduce the risk of a bad hire for the client. Maybe a key breakthrough for you. Maybe it's the simplicity of lowering your own costs, in your business, your own costs. Maybe it's the outcome you've got about creating a sellable asset. Let's say the brokerage model is starting to to dissipate a little bit, and investors want to see input, process, output. They want to see a regular income. They don't want to see a spike of 3 months and nothing for 4 months. They want to see this input, process, output. So creating that asset is key. Maybe it's the fundamentals of health and stress. When I started the Laptop Recruiter, I left the corporate world, and my outcome was really just to be I don't want to say a bum, but to enjoy my life. Enjoy my life, and of course get married, have kids, etc. These things happen, but maybe it's a personal focus on health and stress. And one of the things I mentioned earlier, if your biggest biohack is sleep. Sleep is a big biohack. You can have all the tactics in the world, but if you're not in a place where your body can actually implement and be in control, and you can be emotionally controlled, then you're in a bad place. So maybe that's a driver. Maybe it's the need to have a process that removes you. Maybe it's something that you've just got here. One of the things that Brant, I showed him one of the first slides in the first video. Brant said, only I can do quote this. And he said, I wish I drank Andy's Kool-Aid sooner. So maybe it's removing yourself in the process, having a process that actually gives you fewer distractions. So whether you're a grinder, and you're going to be a grinder, you're in recruitment, you're in search, you're in staffing, you're going to be a grinder. Is there a harder working niche? I doubt it. Are you a grinder or a rainmaker? You're definitely a grinder. And you know what? Even with the right strategies, Laura works 20 hours per week. That's not the norm. Darren, on the other hand, said to me, Andy, if you can give me X amount of free hours, I'm going to use them to achieve X. So you're probably always going to have some grinder in you, but we won't have the rainmaker tool strategies to hand. So are you a rainmaker in the making? So if we take the simple evaluation about where you are right now, I don't know you. I don't know you. But maybe if you go through this as a checklist, have you tried and given up on marketing or automation that didn't work? I changed the company name, with advice not to. And I said about 6-7 years ago, recruitment is going to become more focused on marketing. Marketing will become more sales. It will become sales in a lot of manners, a lot of ways. And I was told not to do it by Mike Walmsley, someone I am high in huge high regard. I'm going to share Mike in a second. So maybe it's you've given up on the new world. You've been trying bullshit like SEO or blogging. Who knows? Do you occasionally get incoming leads? And get occasional CVs coming in, but you don't get a steady, predictable stream of both. Maybe, do your billing initiatives, your billing processes, your billing tactics take a lot of your personal time. Do you lay awake concerned that, or do you think about having kept in touch with so-and-so, your key contacts? Are you unsure that the time and money you spend on doing whatever it might be is actually paying for itself? You're told to do marketing, but does it pay for itself? When I see people say, well, how much do you spend on marketing? And someone says 10K a month, that person is an absolute bullshitter. If you invest 10,000 and it's giving you 50,000, why would you stick to doing 10,000? Surely you're going to then put in 20,000 to see if you get 100,000. If you do, you're going to double it and double it. So you should be able to see ROI all the time, which I've demonstrated in these videos. Next, if you wonder what recruiters whose income is hundreds of thousands, millions, more than yours, what they're doing, why you're stuck in a rut. Maybe you've turned a deaf ear, to these fads. People focus on social media and all the bullshit around that right now. But maybe you've just switched off. Maybe it's just a plain driver of I want more time with my friends and family. But the key is you're willing to stop. Willing to stop doing everything yourself, and really important, stop these mediocre results and find a team of experts to show you how to do it. Do you want the option to sell your business, to sell your agency, or to even sort of retire in the agency and keep it running with you not the main driver in it? Are you sure how to grow it? Do you have an income ceiling right now? Maybe you're in a place where you get pulled from doing client work and then you're pulled to doing candidate work, and then you haven't got the time to do both. But if it really comes down to the individual. So I've always been asked, what makes when someone we go through the process and then we agree, right, let's get together, let's do this, let's join. Someone will say, Andy, I want to be one of your case studies. What's the main trait you've seen in people over the years? Very simple, because the process works, the system works, the strategies work, but you've got two individuals. You've got the procrastinator, overthinks everything, and you've got the bull in the china shop. If I was going to take one of them and be the bull in the china shop, the idea was somewhere in the middle. So if you're in that place of inertia, can you set it aside? If you're the bull in the china shop, you're actually someone I'd rather speak to, because you're going to be easier to tame, because you're actually going to do something, get a metric. But if you're a business owner and you get into that case of inertia, you need to understand that you need to create a repeatable system. And hopefully that's become really clear. So focusing your time on the right relationships without worrying about the hundreds of little operational bits and pieces is key. And today we focus on just simple strategies. We're not focused on your role. We're not focused on hiring a team, but understanding your role changes as I demonstrated by the model. So really right now you've got two options. One, you go it alone, keep doing what you've been doing. And I'm not sure how long that's been, but you keep doing what you're doing. And your outcome will be what your outcome possibly has been. I don't know. Or get help from the experts. So what I'm going to do is, I have been doing this now for long enough to know that the right people in my ecosystem is hugely important to me. So what we do is we have two steps. We have a fast track call, which is a very quick 15-minute call. And on that call, essentially, we do a Q&A of your current position and your goals, okay? So a very short amount of your time. What we also give someone for getting on that call, I want to be really, really cool with value. We give them the mapping documents we've been through. So they get on that call and essentially run a Q&A of your current position and your goal. And it's about a 15-minute diagnostic. It might be a bit longer, but roughly 15 minutes. So on that call, say, we're going to go through a diagnostic of your business, and I want to understand you want to understand some base fundamentals of us, and any questions, we'll cover that. But again, my big thing is I want to make sure that we help the right people. And I want to enjoy what I'm doing. So, I take your time seriously, which is why, we're going to give you some really cool stuff for attending that call. But I expect you to attend that call on time. But the first call is just 15 minutes, and it's ready to run a diagnostic and just to see what's going on in your world. But from your side, you're going to get some really cool stuff too. Also, the NPC strategy. Then what we do, if we have had a good conversation there, we've run that diagnostic, what we'll do is jump on a 45-minute accelerator call. Now, this is where we really get into the detail. So the output from this will actually be a 90-day plan for you, a 90-day plan, which is going to be laid out based on what you've given us in the diagnostic and also on that accelerator call. So that'll be with myself or one of the leads. So we'll go through a framework. I've always got a framework, start with the end in mind. So I'm essentially going to run a friendly interrogation, or the lead will. Then what we'll do, we're going to swap places. And any questions you've got for us, we're going to give you the floor for probably about 15 minutes, and you can grill us, which is cool. So you should do. Also going to give you real life case studies on the call. So if you're in this position, we'll give you examples of where someone's done what you're looking to do, okay? So we do that on the accelerator call. And you'll see very quickly how within the space of 2 weeks, you can achieve much more than you do in 6 months. And I think if you've been through these videos, you haven't rushed straight to the end, guys or girls, wherever you are right now, you'll see that's pretty clear. So again, I'm very protective of what I've created over these years. But also of you. So just a very quick 15-minute call, but you get really good stuff from that call. So you leave that call with the mapping documents, campaign metrics, also going to give you an NPC, full training on that. But the real meat's on the accelerator call. But that 15-minute call diagnostic is just to make sure that, we get you and you get us. And then if that's a fit, we'll go to the next step. It protects you and it protects us. So just so you know, some people said that I'm the recruitment quote coach to the recruitment industry. Lou Adler, you may or may not know Lou, but I imagine you do, especially if you're in the States. Lou is like the the godfather, performance hiring. If you find Lou's book, Lou's an absolute genius. So in Lou's own words, so really what we're creating here is the built to sell of recruitment search. The built to sell of recruitment search, which is high regard indeed from Lou. So if you're in the US, you probably know Lou. In the UK, Mike Walmsley, again, an absolute legend in the industry. Mike said from the start, it's the most innovative strategy he's ever seen in recruitment. Roy Ripper, again, an original leader in the UK recruitment search industry. He said he'd been following me for a period of time. When I saw firsthand what he was doing, I introduced him to my clients, no hesitation. So essentially, Roy has spent time with me, and he's introduced me to his own clients, which is, high praise indeed, but also trust. So the recruitment industry, there are many coaches that you all know who've come to us over the years for help, either with their business or indeed helping their clients. Because my background, again, I've been in recruitment now for about a decade, but originally I was from outside recruitment, and I'm passionate about creating new strategies. So we are different, and we get asked, why are you different? Well, chances are who you're speaking with right now has probably come to me for advice. Number one. Number two, our case studies demonstrate that we're different. Number three, we're creating a business here. We're creating a business. We're in a digital age. I said the internet started in 95. I started in digital in 1996. It's all I've ever known. When I came into recruitment, it just became, I was blown away by how it was like the Wild Wild West. So often we're told we're the coach to the coaches. So on that fast track call, just to recap, 15 minutes, you're going to get some really cool stuff to leave, but I expect you to arrive on time. It allows us to filter out whether it's a fit at that point. Accelerator calls where the meat happens. It's where the meat happens. Very quickly on who I am. I've been doing this since 1996, digital strategy that is. 2001, I was in charge of, at the time, the largest data CRM implementation in Europe. Had a very large team. So again, it's all about digital strategy. Been in recruitment search now for over a decade. Started off with LinkedIn expertise, but as you can see now, trained thousands around the world. I walk the walk in terms of remote, have done for many, many years. And if people get into remote now, we started this off years ago in terms of recruitment, the laptop recruiter. We're evidence-based. The numbers I've shared with you today are evidence-based. These are members. So we walk the walk on this. You can scan through this as a PDF that goes with these videos, and you can walk through about ourselves also. But just to recap, this fast track call, scheduled in 15 minutes. You're going to get the marketing mapping documents, so your client mapping, your candidate mapping documents, so you can fill in your own numbers. Number one, we're also going to give you an NPC strategy training, but arrive at that call on time. Please be respectful of us. We are going to be respectful of your time also. And so that's just a diagnostic call The real meat happens on the Accelerator call. But again, you're also going to have the floor to ask whatever you want, which is I'd expect you to. So with that said, there's been an awful lot of content in these videos. And initially, it's going to start off as a very quick, 30, 35-minute video, which I spec'd out. And then as I was going through, I was thinking, no, this is not what I want. I actually want it to become really clear that there's a different model for the recruitment search staff and business owner to attain. So if you've come to this video and you're at the end of this, you've not been for other previous videos, I urge you to do that. So with that said, there will be a link you can click on to schedule the call, or indeed come to us. But with that said, look forward to speaking to you. And wherever you are now, everything's fixable. Everything in life is fixable. It's fixable if we understand our current position and we understand where we want to be. In the middle, there's a gap, isn't there? So if you're here today, and let's say your revenue is, I don't know, 300K, and you want to get to 1 million, or your business is in a really bad place today and you want it to be in a real stable place in 6 months, 6 weeks, whatever the number is, in the middle is a gap, yes? That gap comes down to two things. The how is my job. How you do it is my job. Who does it, if you're going to follow the steps, is your job. So again, if you're in a place of inertia, then there might be some work you need to do on yourself there. But if you're in a place of understanding, right, this needs to change, and often that comes at a point of pain, I empathise with you. I've been through every business scenario you can imagine, good, bad, and indifferent. But everything's fixable. Everything's fixable if you take action. So with that said, I will see you on the inside.